Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll start by thanking the Chair for including Congressman Emmer's legislation to reform our credit unions in today's markup. There's also a few other bright spots of bipartisanship, and Congressman Gottheimer's bill to protect seniors from bad actors is one. Congresswoman Beatty's legislation to codify some of the previous administration's work to expand employment opportunities for Americans with past minor offenses. I think this is a positive and in stark contrast to the usual Democrats' go-it-alone approach for this Congress. However, I can't help but wonder, why is there nothing in today's markup to help Americans who are struggling to make ends meet? Madam Chair, in October, the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, a key inflation index, hit a 30-year high. CPI rose 6.2% in October compared with a year ago. That is the largest annual increase in 30 years. So what does this stat actually mean to American families? It means that it costs you more to fill up your tank. It costs you more to put food on your table. It means that your paycheck is worth less. I know my Democrat colleagues don't want to hear anything from Republicans about inflation. So here's what CNBC had to say last week. Quote, "What looks like a big jump in workers' wages during October turned into just another gut punch after accounting for inflation." The article goes on to say, quote, "Real average hourly earnings when accounting for inflation actually decreased by 0.5% for the month. So an apparent solid paycheck increase actually turned into a decrease and another setback for workers still struggling to shake off the effects of the COVID pandemic," end quote. Translation, rising prices are outpacing wages. That doesn't sound like a, quote, high-class problem, as some have said. It sounds like Americans are living paycheck to paycheck are in trouble. So what is my Democrat colleagues, what is their response? Let's pile on even more debt, even more government spending, and do it in this reconciliation bill that will make rising prices worse and saddle our children and grandchildren with more debt. Or let's enact tax policies that benefit our wealthiest base in blue states and the biggest cities in America, the most prosperous people in America. I'm sure this will make some folks in California and New York very, very, very happy. The bad news is for the rest of the country who are going to foot the bill. And of course, then we have this markup, which is a grab bag of bills that to narrow down our capital markets. Those are the three partisan bills that are being presented today. To say my Democrat colleagues are out of touch with the needs of the American people is an understatement. So what should we be discussing today instead? How about finding ways to help more Americans participate in our capital markets to build their savings? Those people that have savings in the market today are better off than they were 2 years ago. They're better off than they were a year ago. That's the only way to match this inflation juggernaut unleashed by Democrats is to have savings in the market. We should broaden our capital markets, not narrow them. Or we could finally discuss a real solution for renters who are struggling due to the Biden administration's gross mismanagement of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Or we could discuss ways to get more Americans safely back to work. Unfortunately, none of the, quote, people's business, as some want to call it, seems to actually be evident. And while we're here for another marathon markup, President Biden continues to take his time on nominating a Federal Reserve chair. This is the latest in history that a president has nominated a Fed chair. And this new milestone couldn't come at a worse time. Our economic recovery is fragile. The stakes are very real. And this administration has now got a historical marker that this is the latest nomination to the Federal Reserve ever. And as I've mentioned, rising prices are outpacing wages, and we need certainty that Chairman Powell can continue his work to steer our economy in the right direction and to help us through this post-COVID economy and get us normalized. But this is all indicative, quite frankly, of a larger discussion about the Democrats' inability to govern. And we can continue that debate today. So with that, Chair, I yield back.